What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog, back in standard with a Golgari Deathtouch list. That's right, Golgari Deathtouch. Still a thing. It's been a thing for a little while now. Obviously, we still have things like Hooded Blightfang in the format. So, yeah, gonna play around with some Deathtouch here. Starting off with 2 copies of Bloodchief, just really solid removal here. We have plenty of Deathtouch as sort of removal, but we don't want to lean too heavily onto it. So, still need to play some decent removal. Bloodchief is one of the better ones we have access to. 3 copies of Foulmire Knight, 1/1 Deathtouch for 1. And also has the adventure side where we top deck this later on. We can draw a card for 3 mana, lose a life, and then play down as a 1/1 for 1. So not bad overall value. 2 copies of Tajuru Blightblade. If you look at the Deathtouch, most of it is leaning towards black. So playing a bunch of 1-drops in green doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because our mana base is skewed towards black. Maybe when the next set drops and we get more favorable mana, like Golgari Pathways and that sort of thing, maybe we could look at doing something leaning more into some of the green 1-drops. But for now, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But it is a nice way to flood the board for Hooded Blightfang and things like that. But we still want to run at least a couple copies. 4 copies of a Boot Nibber, 2 mana, 2/1. Not super impressive. We had to put a Deathtouch or lifelink counter. I mean, we're pretty much always going to choose Deathtouch unless we really need the lifelink. But we do have the option sometimes. 2 cups of Feed the Swarm. We have a decent amount of life gain here, so we don't mind necessarily losing life to destroy a permanent. Mostly this is here to give us some main deck hit against enchantments. We'll also be able to hit creatures as well. It is sorcery speed, so a little bit of a downside, but we don't have Assassin's Trove or anything like that since that rotated, so we need some way to kind of deal with some of the more problematic enchantments like Felidor's Retreat and things like that. 3 copies of Ram Through, instant speed. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. We don't care about the trample part because none of our creatures have trample. But just instant speed, kill something at 2 mana. We have things like Rabid Bite, it's sorcery speed, I believe, and a couple other spells like Primal Might. But a lot of our creatures are pretty small, so I don't really want a fight effect, just want a deal damage effect. So this is basically our Eliminate or Heartless Act without any of the downsides, really. We just need a Deathtouch creature on board. That's really the only prerequisite. We can kill anything on the board without losing our thing. So, pretty sweet. And we can get the nice payoff here with Chevill. We're in all 3 copies here. He's legendary, so I don't want to necessarily run all 4. But 3 copies feels right, so we can see it consistently. Maybe have backup sometimes where we need it in the grindier matchups. 2 mana, 1/3 Deathtouch. Beginning of your upkeep, if your opponents don't have any permanents with bounty counters on them, put a bounty counter on creature or planeswalker, and then whenever that permanent dies, we gain 3 and draw a card. So a fantastic card to draw engine here, leveraging all of our Deathtouch and just some of our other removal here. All 4 copies of Grimdancer here. 3 mana, 3/3 enters with Menace, Deathtouch, Lifelink. So obviously we're going to choose Deathtouch because we're a Deathtouch tribal deck, and then we're going to look at either Menace or Lifelink depending on what our opponent is up to. All 4 copies of the Hooded Blightfang, just running through in case you forgot or aren't familiar with what this does. 3 mana, 1/4 Deathtouch. Each time you attack with a Deathtouch creature, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. So that's for each single creature. That'll trigger. So if you have your Blightfang attacks with 2 other creatures, and that's 3 triggers, your opponent's going to lose 3, you're going to gain 3. 3 copies of a Nighthawk Scavenger. 3 mana, 1/3 Deathtouch. However, it's 1 plus, equal to the number of different card types in your opponent's graveyard. So your opponent's going to have instants and sorceries they're going to be cracking, some Fabled Passages, we're going to be killing their creatures and whatnot. So yeah, you can easily get this to a 3/4 without even too much effort here. So flying, Deathtouch, and Lifelink for 3 mana, just fantastic investment here. Obviously, the drop slot is already pretty full with the Grimdancer, a little more versatile. You can make a case to just go 3 Grimdancer, 4 Scavenger. It might be better in some situations. But we're going to try like this for now. So 2 copies of Hagra Mauling just gives us removal in the form of a land as well. So we can kind of keep our land count down since we're not super mana intensive. We do top out at 4 mana. Once you get past that, you don't really need a whole lot more. Maybe up to 5 at the most. 3 copies of Questing Beast. A lot of our Deathtouch creatures are pretty puny. Chevill is 1 power. Hooded Blightfang is 1 power. Scavenger starts at 1 power, not Scavenger. So having something like Questing Beast with a little more oomph, 4 power that can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less, and all the other attacks that would take too long to actually read off. Questing Beast just gives us a nice look here and nice top end. Nissa, just 1 copy. She does give the deck different dimension. She kind of gives you a little more recursive threat. You can keep your Deathtouch creatures back to block, and then potentially know that you can get them back with a Nissa maybe later on with her -5. Not really too hard to get. Since we are playing some Fabled Passages here to help trigger landfall, especially for things like Polukranos. Like I said, a lot of our creatures are pretty small, and with so much mill and whatnot running around with the rogues or just actual mill decks, having something with escape in the main deck feels pretty strong, and does give us a 4-mana 6/6 potentially, or something we can even escape as a 12/12. And another way to kind of fight creatures as well for 3-mana activated ability. Mana base here, we got the 1 Castle Lock Lane if we get into really grindy matches. Again, we don't really care about the life loss with this. 7 Swamp since we're leaning towards black. 6 Forest. Still want to keep it, pretty consistent. We have Quest and Beast for double green. We have the Chevill, it's green and black on turn 2, and the Blightblade, which we might want to cast on turn 2 at times as well. So still want to keep it pretty steady here. We do have the 4 Temple of Malady and then all 4 Fabled Passages, so we can get those swamps and make sure we have all the double black mana that we need on 3, or the black and green we need starting on turn 2, etc. And landfall triggers for our Nissa. Escape fodder for Polukranos, so just lots of nice little synergies here. Sideboard here, we have some graveyard hate in the form of Soul Guide Lantern, 3 copies of Agonizing Remorse, 3 copies of Kitesail Freebooter, so like when our we're up against like control decks and the Chevill loses a lot of its value, Ram through not as good, well, we just bring in our Remorse Freebooter package. That's 6 hand hate spells right there. It gives us a nice way to kind of combat those decks. 2 copies of Return to Nature, just as instant speed to deal with artifacts and enchantments. Since our curve is a little bit lower, I think I kind of prefer this one a little bit more than Broken Wings, but either one is probably fine. 2 copies of Murderous Rider, just we need some more hard removal, especially if your opponent is running some Planeswalkers. 1 of Necromentia. We'd have plenty of hand hate with the Remorse and Freebooter, but Necromentia has a way to, just kind of another way for deal with certain linear strategies like Ugin and pretty annoying things like that. And finally, we have 2 copies of Oakhame Adversary. 4 mana 2/3 isn't really great. However, if you're up against a deck that's running green permanents, it costs 2 less to cast, so 2 mana 2/3 Deathtouch. That's pretty solid. And as the upside of whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. So in the right matchups, this is pretty fantastic, but in the main deck, don't feel like it quite makes the cut. Alright, that's the deck. We'll jump into some matches. Okay, up against My Darn Hobby, we gotta go first. 1 land, that's rude. It's a little bit better. If we ditch the Blightblade, we got Bootnipper into Bootnipper until we find a 3rd land. That's the weakest link. Definitely want this. I'd like to get this Quest and Beast online, but since we're going to go Temple on turn 1, then just dropping the Blightblade makes the most sense, I think. Especially without a Hooded Blightfang in hand. Alright, finding all of our lands is just good. Just go Grimdancer here, I think. We do have our double green and 4 lands, 4 manas to get the Quest and Beast next turn, so we end up curving out pretty nicely. Okay, opponent. Holding that up like it's some real gold over there. Cast it, or you can pass priority, whatever you want to do, or you can just sit there. That's an option too. That is an option too. So now they want to fight off during combat. Is that just when they think they're supposed to play the opt, they're holding it the whole time, and then they want to wait till combat? Like, either fire it off when we tap out or something. We got them on the ropes here. We went first, so we're able to kind of be the aggressor here. Imagine Is that list is going to have a hard time dealing with a questing beast. Already down to 12, so you have to play a creature here. We got Bootnipper and removal. Which is like a little sprite dragon that we can pick off for 2 life. I mean, we're at 20, so it's not really a big deal. least not yet, but they could be running Thunder and Rebukes or other ways to deal with the beast. Maybe a Brazen Borrower, Petty Theft, that would be pretty annoying. Not sure why they're playing so slow. I mean, they got a Is It deck. I feel like it should be running pretty quick. Just ignoring our Boot Nipper, just to get the Stormwing entity down. Well, that is 5 life to destroy it, but it's probably worth it here. I can certainly add up on the attacks, so probably basically the same as getting attacked by it at least once. Another questing Beezy. Alright, blow it up. Take 5. We're already representing lethal, but want to make sure. They should be pretty easy for them to deal with these Boot Nippers. Which I'm not sure why they didn't kill that when they had the chance. I mean, Royal Eruption hits any target for 3 damage. It's like you're kind of losing the race here. Killing the creature might make a little more sense to buy you some time. But I guess they thought they could race us with their prowess. I don't know. And hopefully they try to go after our questing beast here, and then we can just drop the other one. Oh, now you want to kill our Boot Nipper. Little Boot Nipper getting it done. Doesn't look like much, but it's putting in some work for us here. We'll take it. Certainly not over yet. I mean, 4 cards in hand. Is It has plenty of good bounce and removal effects. Don't understand why they're playing so slowly here. Still going face. Okay, so you got a Brazen Borrow here, I guess. To the surprise of absolutely nobody. I guess we'll just cast it while they're tapped down. Might be holding some counters. Is It doesn't typically run counters in the main, but maybe. Thought about just drawing a card and then having a 1/1 down. Alright, playing the Brazen Borrower here as at sorcery speed. Oh, giving a haste. They just wanted to flex and then concede like a... Okay. Cool story, bro. Really? Alright, up against Soul. Missing black, but I mean we have the Boot Nipper, and once we find another land we got Grimdancer and Blightfang. So I think it's still worth trying here. There's our first green source. Opponent showing that green as well. Cobra. Probably want to deal with that before they do anything crazy with it. So we'll just drop Questing Beast next turn. Alright, see they got a 3rd color. And Naya it is. Alright. Well, we're going to hit you for 6. Hopefully we can dodge a board wipe. Could be Shatter, could be Storm's Wrath. But if they're running Cobra, then they're probably just more leaning towards creatures. Okay, failed our retreat. Nissa is pretty interesting as well. Alright, put it down to 6, and then we can Blightfang, and that probably does it next turn. Unless they wipe the board. Nope, just cultivate. Yeah, they're at least one trigger here with a retreat, make a 2/2. Evolving Wild, so they can make 3 2/2s. They do have Menace, and they can't block the Questing Beast, so... Oh, they just make a couple 3/3s. Okay. Opponent down to 3. Have double block Grimdancer or a jump block here, take 3 from that, so... So I know they have Cobras, so Oakhame Adversary maybe? Also use the Polukranos to ping off their tokens. Necromentia on Fabled Passage seems pretty good. There's a return to nature. I'm not sure how big a part of that. I'm guessing they're all in on it. And they had it right there on 4, and they had lots of ways to trigger a landfall. We'll try the adversary here. And we'll leave one Polukranos in. I'll try like that. Deathtouch Tribal versus the Naya Ramps. I think with double ramp there, I think I'm fine with just playing this out as a land here. Right, Mulligan and cracking the Fabled Passage on 1, so that's fewer landfall triggers later on. It's good for us. They appear to be on 4 colors. That's ambitious. I guess we'll Temple, just try to get rid of any lands. Alright, Questing Beast. Not going to say no to that. We'll just Scavenger here. So I think they were Naya, which makes sense. I'm not sure what the black is for. That seems pretty... they're getting more swamps, which they didn't even go for last game, so I'm kind of confused about that. Maybe just for some more sideboard removal or something? Just firing off these cultivates left and right. Now they're getting their white mana, which I'm kind of surprised I didn't go for that earlier. I guess we fire off the Oakhame. And save the Questing Beast Blightfang for after board wipe, if that's what they're going for. Oh, Phylath. You got 1,000,000 tokens. We do have the ram throughs. I had to use both those on basically one Phylath, so that's pretty good value for them. Why did they block the Oakhame? Huh. Not sure it was worth keeping all 5 tokens. I guess Feldar's Retreat and then put a bunch of counters on them. Cool. So I got a bunch of 2/3s now. Assuming that's their strategy. And Vigilance. Yep. Seems pretty good. Yeah, we'll Questing Beast Blightfang, then we can potentially kill him with our dudes next turn. Maybe we could have held back the adversary, but... Wow, they just keep taking it. Alright, well, double Blightfang should seal the deal. Must have a bunch of landfall. Okay, Soul Seer. So 3 times 5, that's 15 points of damage. Alright, that's Evolving Wild, so they still have one more trigger. So that's 5 times 4. That's 20 points of damage. I mean, if they have like a Roiling Regrowth or something here, that could get us. But they do not. And we kill them on triggers. Whew. So, kind of interesting. 4-color landfall. Okay. Pretty cool. I don't think we saw what the black was for, did we? Yeah, and then they grabbed 2 black sources early on. And they didn't even cast anything that was relevant for black mana. So, no idea what the black is for. Alright, means it relaxed. Alright. Interesting hand. Archfiend's Vessel. We just lead on tap land here. I'm not sure it's worth running the Blightblade out there. Just because. Survive. Okay, so they're showing Mardu, but it could just be like a Rakdos or Orzhov build. Some kind of sacrifice shenanigans. Oh, we gotta put a counter on the Archfiend's Vessel and maybe ramp through, but of course something they want to die and get back as a 5/5 demon. Let's oblige. Polukranos. Alright. Oh yeah, get in there for 1. I mean, we kind of want another green source for the Questing Beast, but our deck does skew towards black. Although double ramp through means that we might want another green source. Okay. I feel like we might get punished either way. Alright, perfect. So we got some options here. I think we just ramp through Boot Nipper. Black boots, there we go. Then you get their Cleric back as a 5/5. Another Chevill. So we use a bunch removal thanks to the Aura trigger. Still think it was worth it. Choose between Polukranos and Questing Beast next turn. Alright, Dren is pretty obnoxious. Get their aura back here. It's the only creature they have. Oh, non-legendary, that's right. So they don't get anything back. When Drena attacks, she gets a... We have to choose a creature in their graveyard, non-legendary. Comes back to the battlefield with a +1 counter on it. So you have a backup Chevill here, so... However they want to block, that's fine with me. Nope. No blocks is fine as well. Banishing Light on the Questing Beast. Attack for 4. Trigger, nothing happens. Cool story, bro. I don't think we're worried about this Draina yet, so we'll just get our Polukranos down. This is where having the 6/6 power is so nice, because we all have, with this 1/3, 1/1s, not really getting the job done against them, especially when they have some life gain. Okay, Cleric of Life's Bond and Taborax. So now we have to choose here. Do we want to play Bloodchief Thirst as a 1-mana kill spell on the Cleric of Life's Bond and trigger their Taborax? Or do we want to play Taborax, or Bloodchief's the Taborax Alright, let's fight. And blow up the Cleric. I think we'll just play this as a 1/1 just to get some more creatures online. They're down to 6, so if we drop deck a Blightfang, then we're in a pretty good spot. They will get something back with a Draina attack, but they're down to 6, and we're representing lethal on board already, so not sure how confident they are in attacking here, but 2 cards in hand, so they could have plenty of stuff to get back. Well, that's the only thing we can give them is the Cleric of Life's Bond. Comes back with a counter on it. They can still play another Cleric here, gain some life, make a 4/4 Cleric of Life's Bond. Which they do not. Let me get that off the board. Yeah, we're just going to keep going for it. We need kind of all the help we can get here to go wide against them. Because if you're walking into a Shadow of the Sky, but we can always escape our Polukranos. Exactly 6 mana, and I'm sure with all these creatures dying and plus what we already have in the yard, we'll have enough to escape. Okay. So they got their reanimation package online. So they are running enchantment removal. Spot where Broken Wings might be a little bit better. Attempting to bring in some Agonizing Remorse, but I'm not sure it's worth it. I think it's a creature deck. I think, especially with flyers, I think Nissa definitely loses a lot of her value. Soul Guide's interesting. We can name like plenty of things, Aura or Draina. So maybe we'll try the Necromentia just to kind of eliminate a very key part of their deck if we can. Polukranos still fought pretty good. Questing Beast, Scavenger, yeah, kind of keep their flyers at bay. And the removal package still feels pretty good. We have Feed the Swarm already here to kind of deal with some of their enchantments. So now they're running at least some Banishing Lights. I assume they're running Heartless Axe and things like that as well, but hard to say. They're very creature heavy. Alright, we got the Necromentia open hand. We do need a third land, but I think this is still a keep with double Blightfang, some removal. Question is, what do we need with Necromentia? It's possible I also could sideboard in a Shatter of the Sky. I think Aura probably is the most annoying card we're going to be able to name on turn 3 if we get there. So we'll try that. Chevill is pretty good. So I think we'll just Chevill. Castle Lockdown obviously a little bit awkward, but runs off to a slow start, so that's fine. Probably just Bootnipper Castle Lockdown here. Taborax. Oh, it can't block, and 3 toughness means they can't kill it. Maybe Necromentia here, try to get aura unless they are able to cast it here. Okay. That just gives them a lot of value. Tabrax is pretty annoying as well, but it's not as bad. Okay, firing off the Banishing Light on our Chevill. Okay, not sure what that hesitation was all about. Alright. Aura, Skyclave, Hierophant. Ooh. Yeah, we got one out of their hand and 3 in their library, so beautiful. Should have attacked first. Second way of trial, finding another land. I think we go ahead and block, get that off the board. Alright. Now that we found a untapped, I think we just go Polukranos here, just to be more mana efficient. So it gives us a way to deal with Tabrax. Getting rid of those auras makes our removal that much better. So Tabrax is kind of their only other source of really value off of our removal. Hagra Mauling is interesting. We hold on to the Mauling here. See what they get. Cleric of Life's Bond into Veto. Well, Hagra Mauling can deal with that. That's super cute. Behind on the life race here, down to 13, so we'll stay back on the blocks. Well, they have the Banishing Light. We got these Hooded Blightfang, so we're doing okay. So they're all about that enchantment removal. It's curious. I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. So we can only do one thing next turn. Equal Quest and Beast, I mean, they can't block it yet until they find another cleric. Start getting some life back. See what they found here. Okay, Draina can get them nothing. They have 2 legendary creatures in their yard. Awesome. Feed the Swarm. Yeah, I think we blow up the cleric. Take 2. We'll just send the Questing Beast. I think these Blightfangs are too valuable at this point. They got their cleric back. It resets from 4/4 to at least a 3/3. Is that enough to escape our Polukranos yet? It is. Right, no more Blightfang triggers. Can also Castle Lockline here. And block with your Cleric of Life's Bond. And just keep getting it back. I'll go ahead and escape here. Alright, Polukranos, come back as a 12/12. What do you got? Opponent needs to find some answers here. Oh, land is not going to cut it. Yep, get your Cleric of Life's Bond back. Fight. And attack for more than lethal plus triggers. Trigger. Almost got them with triggers alone. Nice. Whew. Had to really work for it there against the Orzhov Clerics. But hey, ranking on up to making some progress here in Platinum 3. We'll take it. Alright, Deathtouch Tribal. Not the most competitive deck, obviously, but there's definitely has some game to it. You can definitely win some games, some matches in ranked play like we just showcased there. It is pretty synergistic, and so definitely susceptible to like removal heavy decks, but you have things like Polukranos and Nissa here to kind of give you a little bit more of a recursive threat or action, however you want to look at it. Sideboard, you could take out the Oakhame Adversaries. It does feel pretty good in the matchups where it matters, but I'm not sure how prevalent. I mean, mono green does see some lists, Teamer, things like that, but maybe Adversary could be more some graveyard recursion type spells. Could also try to put some Agadeem's Awakenings in here, but I do like the Castle Lockdwayne. And when you start cutting down on swamps, it kind of hurts your castle a little bit. But maybe the Agadeem's Awakening is just better. Maybe cut the Castle Lockdwayne and a swamp for a couple Agadeems. Might be worth it to kind of help you grind out some of those removal heavy matchups some more. Yeah, I mean, we have Quest and Beast, things like that give us a real nice power level here at the later stages of the game. Nighthawk Scavenger can get pretty big, especially as a flying threat. And a lot of times you can just win with your Hooded Blightfang triggers as well. And then Chevill, just a really powerful card draw engine. So yeah, some nice synergy here. Some you don't have to play too much removal, but you definitely need to play some. You can't just rely on your Deathtouch creatures to kill your opponent's things. You need to play some actual removal. And the ramp through is pretty nice because it doesn't have the Heartless Act. It says creature can have counters on it to kill it. Eliminate has to be something 3 or less to kill it. Well, ramp through just says you just have to have a creature with Deathtouch basically. And then you can kill anything on your opponent's side for the same cost, 2 mana, instant speed. So yeah, ramp through fits in pretty nicely. And with some of the life gain that we have, definitely feel comfortable running at least a couple copies of Feed the Swarm. So we have some main deck hate for the enchantments, which there's certainly plenty of. And since try to keep the removal as flexible as possible here, Feed the Swarm in the main deck feels pretty solid. And of course we have the trusty Bloodchief Thirst. And then we also got to run things like Foulmire Knight. And like I said, we're pretty skewed towards black, so I don't really want to run all the Tajuru Blightblades, and there's other 1 mana thing that's like a snake. Can't remember what it's called, but if you run all those, you really need to fix your mana base so it's really like balanced. You can have green on turn 1, but since we're forced to run these temples, since we don't have like the Golgari pathways, it's a little bit awkward. So I don't think we're in that spot yet, but maybe when the next set drops, we can take a look. We can kind of rework some of these and maybe incorporate some more of those green 1-drops and just really lean heavily into the Blightfang and just kind of swarming the board with a bunch of 1/1s. That might be something we can do here in the next set. But for now, this is what we got, and feel pretty good with how this build is at. But like I said, maybe the Agadeem's Awakening just give us a little bit more game against the grindier matchups, since we don't necessarily mind shocking in for, or not shocking, so we're bolting the Agadeem's Awakening is 3 life to play it untapped if we need to. Since we have enough life gain to where it doesn't matter too much. And yeah, maybe Scavenger could be a 4 of instead of the Grimdancer. Grimdancer feels, I like the versatility on the Grimdancer just because it can be Deathtouch in addition to Menace and Lifelink, but of course Scavenger already kind of has Deathtouch and Lifelink as well, and it's a flyer, so yeah. Obviously, you do need, some decks don't really fill up their graveyard a whole lot. You kind of have to help them put stuff in their yard, so yeah, either way. Scavenger might be a little bit better here, so definitely could make a couple updates here, but overall feels like it's a pretty good spot. Like I said, the Adversary could be something else here, some more, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we already have plenty of hand hate here with Remorse and Freebooter. We have Feed the Swarm in the main, so we have Return to Nature inside, which could be Broken Wings. I think either way is probably fine. Let's try to keep the casting cost a little bit more efficient, since we have lots of like 3-drops and things like that. So having, maybe a way to play a 3-drop, and then hopefully have 2 mana open to like Return to Nature, like an Embercleave or something like that. Then Murderous Rider gives us more hard removal. We can also do Eat to Extinction as well. The exile removal can be pretty important sometimes. But again, just trying to keep things a little bit more kind of efficient and not go too high on the curve here. But yeah, there's definitely some options you can kind of take a look at. But of course, Etho Extinction doesn't really trigger with your Chevill, so there's a little bit of a downside since it does exile it instead of actually destroying it. And the Murderous Rider does have the destroy effects, but sometimes you just need to get rid of some stuff. But we do have Soul Guide Lanterns and Return Natures to help us exile stuff from graveyards if we need to. So we have options here. Overall, yeah, I feel like it's a pretty good starting shell if you're interested in the Deathtouch as an archetype. So yeah, Deathtouch Tribal in Standard. Thanks for watching, guys. Till next time, make sure you jank with